Hey, we're back.
What are we doing here today?
This is an emergency session. Breaking news, because I'm steaming.
Yeah, what are you so hot about?
I'm angry.
Hold on. You came into my office about 2 hours ago.
Yeah,
I haven't
hot.
seen you this hot.
So hot.
I don't know when I've seen you this hot. So what's up?
Okay, so I'm in a meeting this morning. Very important meeting, Capitol Hill meeting. You know the type. And my friggin' pant leg just starts a buzzing. And it's my Ring camera's going off. And the whole family was out of the house. So I'm like, why is, this is a B&E, brother. You know, this is a home invasion. This is DEFCON 3. I look at the camera. I see a cop at my door. I see people milling about in my carport. What the heck is going on here? So I excuse myself from this super important Capitol Hill meeting. You know the type. And I'm trying to piece it together. I'm like a crime scene detective, you know, and my Ring camera, you know, only captures so much. It only captures about 10 seconds of material. And you don't know what's going on. So let me set the scene. Let me set the scene. That'd be cool to have an Australian accent and say that. Let me set the scene.
Yeah.
So a kid, random kid, this is about, 9:15 in the morning, right? So school's already started. This kid should be learning. Just streaming up my driveway into my carport with 3 adults coming behind him, one of which has some sort of credentials hanging off her and a walkie-talkie, which is chirping. And are you just going to keep looking at me like that?
This is what paying attention
Well, you
looks
haven't
like.
blinked, and it's off-putting. So this kid just starts jumping on my kid's stuff, right? We got a couple Power Wheels in there. Stuff's flying. He's just tearing through our stuff. And I keep replaying this to catch as much audio as I can. And I hear one of the adults with the radio be like, no, that's private property. No, that is not yours. The kid's just tearing up my carport and my kid's stuff. So anyway, cut to next Ring camera. Sorry. Next Ring camera video is just a cop dragging my daughter's Power Wheel, pink Ford Bronco Jeep, that was her Christmas present, up the driveway and placing it in my carport, and then comes over and rings my doorbell, which of course starts a new video on the Ring camera, and is just standing there. You know how they stand there with their hands in their vest, just looking around. What the heck is going on here? So I'm flabbergasted. I don't know what's going on, because what happened between this maniac kid running up my driveway, messing with my stuff, followed by 3 adults apparently doing nothing to stop this child, and then 5-10 minutes later, a cop coming and bringing something back up to my carport. What the heck's going on? So I'm freaking out. Not freaking out in the sense that my house is burnt down, but just what is going on? I feel violated, right? Not that they necessarily stole anything or broke anything, but this is my private property. This kid was running up my driveway and nobody seemed to stop him. So I don't know, an hour goes by. My wife's back at home. The frickin' Ring camera's going off again. And I see my wife out on the front step talking to another jabroni dressed kind of like you.
Well,
without a tie and a frickin' walkie-talkie and credentials. Who is this? Right? I'm, kind of a prepper survivalist type, and I'm thinking not a sovereign citizen, but why are officials with radios on my property?
Yeah.
I should know that. I should know what's going on, right? I'm sorry, you have something better to do?
yeah, my job. You pulled me down here so you could rant about this.
So I call the wife. She called me. She's like, hey, the superintendent is here. I was like, superintendent of what? She's like, the school or all schools? I don't know. Fairfax County is where I live. And she's like, yeah, they were here to apologize. Apologize for what? Well, apparently one of the kids was roaming. One of the school kids, instead of being at school, decided to walk out of school, run amok throughout the neighborhood, and just messed a bunch of stuff in my carport up and drove my daughter's Jeep on a joyride, so much so that it burned the battery out. Not burned it out, but wore it down to nothing. That was a fresh charge. That means this kid was driving around for a while. He flipped the odometer over a few times. And I go, well, why didn't they stop this child? There's 3 adults tailing him. She goes, oh, no, they have a no discipline policy.
No kidding.
What is a no discipline policy? You literally can't stop a child from doing this.
Could a child hit another child?
Yes.
And just
Yes.
that's not possible.
Yes. And they cannot physically interfere with it.
So you could have one kid beating up another kid, and that qualifies as no discipline.
I don't think you can beat them to death.
Those were her words, no discipline policy.
This is a no discipline policy. So I started researching this. What is a no discipline policy? Well, and it's different in jurisdictions, but they have one thing in common. They're run by lizard people. No, this is a liberal thing. This is a liberal dream. There's no consequences for your actions. No discipline policies is just no discipline. But like the teachers don't physically place their hands on a child. They will get like 4 or 5 adults to form a ring around a misbehaving child, but they don't touch them. They just kind of like a force field of adults. They let this maniac walk out of school after school had begun, run reckless, roughshod, amok through the neighborhood, messing with private property. First of all, trespassed my property, right?
Yeah.
Not invited, trespassed my property, then took personal property off property for his own benefit. I actually can't tell in the video if it's a boy or girl, so I don't know. We'll say his. It's a boy. Girls don't do this, right? They do different stuff.
Also, throw in
break
child
your heart.
Yeah, also child endangerment, letting this kid run around town.
Just running around. So I was like, the video's so weird. Why aren't this kid's parents stopping it? Well, it's not. It's like teachers, school administrators, and that's why the audio makes sense, because they're like, no, now that's private property. No, that is not yours. Never once did they say, stop, you little, you know what?
Yeah.
Like, we can't swear anymore, thanks to you. So we're not gonna say it. But like, stop, you little twerp.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen that South Park video about the therapist that's talking about his new method for dealing with ADHD and behavioral disability kids? He's like, it's a totally drug-free method. And he's standing there, and these 3 kids just tweaking out in a desk. And he just slaps them. He's like, shut up, sit down and do your work. And he's like, the kid's like, and he's like, stop it, listen to your parents and do your work. And he just screams at him. That's obviously, they're making a joke.
Right.
But
it's going in the right direction.
It's going in the right direction. It's like, if you never tell this kid no, or I don't want to say physically confront, because that's going to be misconstrued to be like, oh, you want to hit kids, right?
I know what you mean.
But you know what I mean.
You have to
you have to set boundaries.
You have to set boundaries, and different kids respond to it in different ways.
Right.
And frankly, it's good for a kid, a human being, to know if you mess with people too much, eventually somebody will just
going to happen. You're going to get
smash
socked in the mouth.
face.
Yeah. And I don't want to hit a child in the face.
Right.
I will if I have to, but I don't want to. Right. And
if they're coming at you,
they're doing this kid a disservice, because he's going to get seriously hurt, whether by another person who's just not going to take it, right? Who's got a street rep that they want to reinforce, or they're going to do something foolish and walk out in traffic or something because they let this kid run amok.
I want to dig into this a little bit, but first,
you got to bounce.
No, we don't have to bounce. We have to cut this, because we have to make sure to tell the ops team to put drinks in the Patriots room.
Okay.
For these guests of ours.
Stay tuned for part 2 of Kids Run Amok, Fairfax County Crisis. We're back from a commercial break.
Commercial break. Who was the sponsor?
Dr. Bronner's horse grease. I don't know, whatever the thing was. Dr. Ichabod's horse grease.
Horse paste.
Horse paste. Yeah.
Okay. What are all the things that went wrong there? One, the school having a no discipline policy.
Meaning there are no consequences for your
consequences.
actions. That's in discord with real life.
Yeah.
There are consequences.
Parents raising a kid that would do that.
Yeah.
Police that aren't empowered to drag this kid by, like, the school can have a no discipline policy, but the police, they can have their own policy.
Yeah.
And their policy should be to grab this maniac kid by the arm and drag him back to school so that he's not a delinquent.
Yeah.
The fourth thing that went wrong is the policy actually puts this kid in danger.
Yes.
If he can roll around town, although it's kind of hilarious, he went on a high-speed chase in
Yeah,
Hot Wheels.
But the thing goes like 2.5 miles an hour. But the point is,
the OJ chase.
They weren't trying to catch him. That's the problem, right? They were just following him and like assumedly trying to prevent him from hurting himself. But like, they're doing long-term damage to this kid by not reinforcing boundaries and rules. And 2, they're doing long-term damage to society. Could you imagine a generation of these knuckleheads grow up who have never been told no out on the streets, operating machinery, driving vehicles.
Dude, like, I know
we're in trouble, Phil.
We hate this stupid policy of the no discipline thing, but ultimately, this is the parents. Like, you put my daughters in a school that has a no discipline policy, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
They're not, even if I have a son, but if my grown son was in that situation, he wouldn't do it either. No. This is 100% the parents.
Well, look, the kid's troubled, right?
Potentially.
And what did we learn yesterday? Can't blame the parents' fault for what the kids do. But I can blame they should lock that kid in a closet or hit him with a belt until he behaves or something.
He needs some kind of discipline.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I'm steamed.
When you came into my office and told me that, I couldn't help but think of Kevin.
Yeah, I know.
You know, like the thing that blew me away is Kevin was saying he was doing not serious crimes, but he was doing petty crimes.
Third grade.
At around third grade.
Cracking into change machines.
Shoplifting, just doing street stuff. Like this kid, he looked on camera about the same age.
Here's an idea. We get Kevin, we get this kid, we do a Scared Straight series, a 4-part series. Yes. Kevin takes him to a state penitentiary.
Yeah.
And just
an overnight
at a state pen.
An 8-year-old boy.
With a bunch of adults.
An 8-year-old boy in Virginia's meanest prison.
I don't know what it's going to take. If I find this kid's dad, we're going to have words and fists might fly. I might throw fists.
If he goes to the local public school in your area, he's theoretically a neighbor.
Probably. Now, sometimes in Fairfax County, you misbehave in one elementary school, they'll just move you to another.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're not even in this community. That's fine. Like, presumably that's fine. But like, you didn't solve the problem. You just moved him to a new situation to disrupt everyone else's learning.
You know what the crazy thing is on that point? When my oldest went to school here in the city, she's a really good, quiet girl, very respectful. And they had like all the students sat in little tables in groups of 4.
Yeah.
Right. So there was like 10 groups or whatever it was because it was a big classroom. Every problem child was put at her desk because she had a calming influence on them. Because
that's a heck of a lot of pressure on her.
Because she would go out of her way to help calm them down and to help them with their work or help them with their eating snacks so they weren't throwing it around the room or fighting. So we found out about this like 6 months after it happened. And we were starting to wonder, like, why is she not progressing in her reading? And then the teacher, she literally pulled us aside. I don't think she was like kind of one of us, so to speak, but she's a teacher. She wants these kids to learn. She pulled us aside. She goes, I just want you to know, I have no choice but to put these kids by your daughter because I can't do anything else with them. I can't discipline them. I can't send them to the teacher. I can't call their parents. We can't move them to another school. Like, this school is the last resort for these kids.
Yeah.
And I have to put them by your daughter just so that they don't get physically violent. And whatever it was, her demeanor, her personality helped them calm down. But it's the same thing. Like, the teacher should have booted these kids from the class or have a class with problem kids where you take a firmer hand, which sounds like what this boy needs.
Yeah. I don't know what this boy's issue is, right? We're not here to solve that. We're not here to solve
We can't solve all the problems.
We can solve most.
You want to talk Israel, Gaza?
Yeah. Put you and I in a room, couple soda pops, ice cold soda pops. We'll figure some stuff out. Yeah. But look, I've been thinking about this stuff a lot lately. No one is this dumb. This is intentional.
It's a choice.
This is a choice, intentional by leadership in these super liberal areas like where we live, unfortunately, to destroy our country.
Yep.
That a society full of these people that have never been told and never been checked against the boards, to use a popular phrase in this building, never get punched in the face, like, we're going to have a problem here.
You know, it's a good example of that on a national scale because it is a choice. We've been saying this for a while. It's not accidental. It is a choice. The border. We were told last year that we needed to pass this giant, ugly, not a great border bill because otherwise, President Biden didn't have the authority to stop the border. We're like 6 weeks into Trump's presidency and border crossings are down in some places to 0.
Yeah.
So clearly
we have all
they
the
had
laws
the power.
That we need.
It was intentional. All of this is a choice.
Yeah.
We talked yesterday about my house being broken into. This knucklehead kid trashing your porch. It's all a choice.
Carport.
Doesn't have to be this way.
I know it doesn't.
Doesn't have to be this way.
I don't want to mince words, but it was a carport. We don't have garage money.
Let the record reflect.
Let the record reflect that it was a carport.
Right.
But with education, and we're not smart, you and I was public school all the way through, from kindergarten through law school, public school. And I'm not smart. Where was I going with this? Just not being smart. No, but like, I don't have a golden bullet on education, but I know throwing more money at it clearly doesn't work because historic amount of money spent per child, worse outcomes. Year over year, worse outcomes. 67% of people don't know how to read or something. Read at a 4th grade level.
And that's why, like,
you can't cash a check. Well, checks are out, but you can't
Trump
do anything.
Trump
with that.
signed an executive order yesterday. I don't know the details, but the Department of Education sort of like exploring what can be done away with. He had all the governors and was it Linda McMahon, up for a big signing. And I think the outline of the executive order is what can be done away with in the Department of Education outright.
Yeah.
What can be sent back to the states, and what can be housed in another department, or what does the Department of Education, like its core thing, it need to do. And he was rattling off some stats, like you would think this is Afghanistan.
Yeah, we are not
he
good
was talking
at
about
anything.
like in Baltimore, and I might get this wrong, but I'm sure I'm right. In Baltimore, he said there are some schools where 0% of 8th graders can do simple math. Then he defines simple math because he goes, and I asked them, what is simple mathematics?
Trigonometry or something?
It's like adding numbers, adding two like single-digit numbers.
Gosh.
And like that is the effect of all of this. I'm not saying this kid can't add numbers, but that is a consequence of our wretched education system.
Here's what you do.
And you'd think somebody would decide, hey, let's not have this anymore. But that's why it's a secular religion and not even a political philosophy.
That's true.
Because in the face of better information, they're still doing it.
Here's what you got to do, all right? You
Your
do
kids weren't home for this, were they?
No, well, some were at school. The others were at a doctor's appointment. So nobody was home. Could you imagine how I would have reacted if I were home when this happened? This belt would have been off in a heartbeat. And I don't know who would have been bent over, if it was the administrators or this child, but somebody was getting hit.
Someone's getting hit. That's usually
And
the way
I'd go
things
to
go when
prison.
people are at your house.
I go to prison for that.
yeah.
Like I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
Doing the job this kid's daddy should have done. I'm steamed.
You are hot
I'm
today.
upset. You know, in Europe, like Anglosphere, European countries, steaming means like you're drunk, you're hammered.
Really?
Not angry. I'm steaming mad, not drunk. But look, here's what you do.
In England, they say spitting.
Really?
I'm spitting mad.
I'm spitting, man. I like that. I was spitting earlier.
Yeah.
That's why I was laughing. Here's how you fix the education system. As soon as absolutely possible, you start doing aptitude tests. Separate them out. You're college bound, you're trade school bound, you're breaking rocks with a hammer bound. Just identify them and boom, separate them out
You think that will work?
right out of the gate. Yeah. Get the high achievers, focus educationally on the high achievers. So they're taking
What
advanced
age?
maths. I don't know, as soon as possible. By 5th grade, they ought to be on a track. Your college bound track.
That seems young. Fifth
The
grade.
sooner
How old
the
are you
better.
in
You're
fifth?
just-
You what are you 10?
I don't know, 70? I don't know. 5th grade? I don't know. You're like 12, right? 11?
My wife's birthday's coming up, and
10,
somebody
11.
asked me, how old is she turning? I had to ask her, how old are you turning?
Your wife?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I don't know what grades my kids are in. I literally don't know. I can't, on instant recall, I can't
couldn't
do it. Because I don't need to.
Yeah.
It's like that Nate Bargatze thing where he's
You
like,
called the dad for
you
this?
called the dad? Like, I don't know what school he goes to. I know what school. But no, you got to identify the tracks as soon as possible. And it like, look, you do enough aptitude tests that you have a good idea, but people could jump tracks. They're not diverged that much until high school, basically.
There's something
Maybe
to be
8th
said
grade.
about at least having a standard.
Everybody gets the standard. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying everybody gets the standard through like 8th grade of like the basic stuff you need to function in society, right? Reading, writing, and basic math, right? Computation math. But like after that, high school is stupid. College is stupid. It should be one thing.
Here's what
high
I don't.
school, college.
Here's what I don't get is this county you live in. These are like middle class, upper middle class families.
Yeah.
Why would they want their kids dealing
'Cause they
with
all
this?
go to private
Because they all
school.
go to private school, and this isn't a
We
problem
go
for
to
them.
private school and
Yeah.
it breaks my back and I can't
Yeah.
afford anything because I spend all my money on stupid private school,
Right.
which just to avoid this crap.
And that is exactly why these parents
And I'm
push these
broke.
policies, is because their kids aren't suffering the consequences.
Right.
They're not
They
living
don't
it.
care. They don't care.
live it. I guarantee you, every private school in your area, and I know for a fact every private school in my area, they don't put up with this.
No.
They will kick kids out, or at the very least,
Or
discipline
hit them. Well, they probably won't
They
hit
probably
him.
won't hit him.
There might be corporal punishment at my school. I don't know.
Really?
It should be. If not, I'll institute it.
Yeah. Privately.
I'm mad.
You should
You
be.
got to identify tracks for these kids and just put them on the track. And like, you're a trade school guy. And like this high school sports used to be a thing. Like, no more. We're done with sports.
We are? Why?
Yeah, all sports should be professional. There shouldn't be NCAA sports. I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but like, no.
No more like high school football, basketball?
No, there should be schools for that. We'll keep that at the trade school. There'll be 3 tracks. It's like the stay out of prison track, trade school track, college track. And then there should be like maybe some sports between those 3 separate things, but like not really. Like if you're on the sports track, then you're in a different track entirely. You're going right to the NFL.
So if you're in the
NBA.
If you're in the trade school track, there's like football after school, but if you're in the education track, there's no
Surprise,
after school sports.
nerd, more math. Mathletics.
But they can still do sports, just do it after school.
It's all got to be aptitude. You just do aptitude. Like they can do tests now on people who are like, this dude is going to be approximately 6'6" and his body frame can hold 400 pounds of muscle. NFL track. Just identify him and push him in. I'm tired of travel team baseball. I'm tired of all this sports stuff, burning up all your time with your family. It's like,
See, I don't like that because
I know you don't. I know you don't.
because people have looked at me and said this guy couldn't be in the NFL, but I could have done it. If it
You
wasn't
could've
for my
done
trick
it.
knee,
Yeah,
I could have done it.
I mean, if I didn't blow my shoulder out, yeah, probably would have been a pitcher in major leagues. No, they would have looked at me and were like, sports are good and team sports are great. Enjoy it. Don't spend too much money on it. These parents are sinking their entire weekends and their entire expendable money into pipe dreams for travel team baseball and friggin' what's the one? Lacrosse.
Lacrosse.
They just crisscross the Atlantic coast playing these stupid things and your kids are not getting a scholarship.
I was talking to a colleague of ours, you know who I'm talking about, whose kids are in travel baseball, and he loves it, and it's great bonding for them. This poor guy is shepherding his children all around the East Coast.
Through interstate.
Interstate. It's like, God bless him because his
No.
kids like it, and like I guess there's bonding time. I couldn't do it, and I wouldn't do it.
I won't do
No
it.
way.
I will
No
not
way.
do it.
No way.
Nope. Time to get a trade. Start busting rocks with a big sledgehammer.
What do you
That's your
think-
job.
What do you think breaks first? What do you think breaks first? Schools ending this insane no discipline policy, or the Department of Education ceasing to exist?
Department of Education ceasing to exist.
Because that's a big deal, man.
That's a big deal. I know.
So you think it's so ingrained in parents of these hippie liberal dirtbag parents, it's so ingrained in them that they will never, no matter what they see, they will never get rid of this no discipline policy or policies like
Okay,
that.
yeah, when you put it that way. When I actually have to think
I don't know the
about
answer.
it. When I actually have to think about it, yeah, that goes away. Consequence free is not good for anybody, man.
They're going to want to change it once it's one of their houses that has some psycho kid rummaging through their carport.
I don't even know if I blame the kid. Like clearly something's going on. Right?
Like you almost can't blame them.
Like man, heaven help us if I find this kid's father.
We were talking earlier.
I'm gonna have the belt off and I'm gonna be
You
hitting
just
the
want to
father.
hit somebody with a belt.
Yeah. I was hit with a belt.
You were?
Oh, a lot.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I had a neighbor down the street that had this belt, and he would just go to town. I'm kidding. Yeah, I was hit with a belt all the
Really?
time by my father.
Yeah.
Literally, me and Kevin, not that far off.
No.
Not
Very
that
similar
far off.
upbringings.
No, yeah. I'm just saying, like, in terms of wildness and uncontrollability, I just don't really like hurting people all that much, so I don't think I could point a gun at somebody and say, give me your stuff and your money, but, like, I was uncontrollable.
See, I never got hit when I was a kid. I can count on one hand the number of times I got hit.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. I could count on one
Now,
hand, like,
if you
per
want to
day
talk
how
about
many
the
times-
emotional abuse, we can do that.
Phil, you're never going to amount to anything. Nothing. You are nothing, just like your father. Like, what? No. When you have an Irish Catholic mother, there's going to be some emotional abuse as well. But it wasn't physical abuse. It was well deserved.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, there's a
measured.
difference between
it wasn't
discipline
my dad
hitting
didn't
and
hit me in
abuse.
anger.
Right.
The problem is why I don't.
That's why parents say this hurts me more than you.
That's why I don't like spank my kids right now or whatever because I can't do it without being angry at them. And so like if I was calm and cool like my dad was, and it was like, well, you know what the consequence is, belt time. He could do that devoid of anger and emotion. I can't, so I just like can't hit him because I'll go to town.
Yeah, my wife's
this feels way better for me than you, and just wail on him.
My wife's got this thing where she wants to sort of like talk them through what they've done and why it's bad.
That's smart.
That's interesting. With the girls, that's how she rolled.
Boys
she never
don't.
once
She
never once put her hands on them ever. The boy comes around and they're just a different animal.
Yes, you gotta shake them up a little bit.
She doesn't like slap him, but like she'll grab him by the arm
or give
like
him one of those.
Give him a little rap on the hand.
Yeah.
And when the first time I saw that, I was kind of shocked because I'd never seen her do that.
Yeah.
You just got to treat the boys different.
Yeah, that's
boys are a
100%
physical
true.
animal. You got to get tough on them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So are we hitting kids after this? What are we doing?
Let's
we
go.
got to end it. I feel better. This was cathartic.
This is great. So, wrap up the show, go home, kiss our wives, hit our kids.
Hit some kids, hit some neighborhood kids.
Just
Kids are getting hit.
Yeah.
Don't hit kids. This is a joke.
I think
this is parody.
There's a Chuck E. Cheese not far from here.
Go in there
it's
and
like
hit some kids.
Super Bowl for hitting kids.
Do they still have whack-a-mole?
Yeah, it's called Kids.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
I'm so mad.
Anything else we want to touch on?
Disappointed in society. Well, I fixed education. We're just tracking kids. We're just putting them on tracks. Like, you're college bound. Sorry, bud. You're a garbage man. Learn how to pick up heavy things and throw it in a bin.
All right.
That's what we're doing.
Let's call it.